Hello, people of the internet. My name is Silay, and welcome back. Today we're talking about art because art is one of the three things that I'm good at. I'm clearly not that good at makeup yet, but the past couple of videos have been about makeup, so let's switch it up into the other three things that I'm into and that I like, and that I'm actually good at. For contrast, so let's talk about art because it has been 10 years since I started doing digital art, and this channel has seen many a drawing by me. I think I started posting them in 2015. I started posting my speed paints in 2015. Today we're going to talk about specifically digital painting and my journey with that, because I've done a lot of different art styles during the years. And right now, even now, I have established a few different ones that I do, because you can't have every single drawing be like a fully rendered digital painting. It's just if you do, that's cool, but for me, that would be just not healthy. So yeah, let's talk about some of my oldest drawings, some of my newer drawings, and my digital painting evolution. I almost wanted to say revolution, but yeah, let's talk about the evolution of my digital painting skills, techniques that I've acquired. So let's start with the very first lineless painting that I attempted to do digitally. I think it was the first or one of the first, where I'm going to mainly focus on portrait paintings because I've done a little bit of landscape practice and nature practice, but those have been very rare. And ever since I started drawing, I always loved drawing people and faces, and my favorite thing to paint continues to be people and portraits. So we're gonna look at that. So this first painting is of Kagamine Len from Vocaloid. I had this huge Vocaloid phase. I don't know if I talked about it on my channel. I used to be really into Vocaloid, and recently I've gotten kind of back into listening to Vocaloid music. I think it's really cool. But yeah, this is a painting of Len Kagamine, and the way that I used to do these at first was just no sketch and just go in straight with color and see where it goes. Which at the time, I literally used to go to art school and we used to do paintings, and the first thing that you do before you start painting is sketch it out on paper. I somehow did not think to do that when doing this. The eyes are so wonky, God bless. Maybe I did do a sketch, but I don't think I did. I just remember starting with the face, because I did it all on one layer too, I think, or maybe not. But it was a mess. Basically, I used to see all those professionally done digital paintings with no line art, and I was like, I want to do that. My main problem back then was I used to go to art school as an extracurricular activity, not an art university, because when y'all say art school, y'all most often mean art college or art university. No, I was going to a 4-year extracurricular program, but it had grades and stuff like that. So we were learning to paint realistic stuff. My main problem with the way that I used to paint is that I would take all the things that I learned about shading realistic faces and try to apply to the anime sketches that I used to make. So that's why the nose shadow is just so prominent. This is shaded like a real face, even though it has anime proportions. So I used to do that, where I apply or attempt to apply realistic face shapes in terms of shading to this anime stylized face. So this was my first attempt. My second attempt was slightly more stylized and less dramatic lighting, so it looks kind of better. And this is where I discovered how to actually paint hair. It's not perfect, but I remember shading this hair with a brush tool and paint tool side that I still use to this day. And that was the first time when I was like, wow, this effect. I like this effect. I'm gonna keep using that. 10 years later, or 9 years later, I think this was in 2011, still do that. So yeah, love Psy. This next one was done in summer 2011, I believe, and this was while it still has its flaws. I mean, come on. Also, I don't know why I shaded the hair like that, with a pen tool. I mean, come on, what the fuck is going on here? But when it comes to the face, while it's still stylized, it has the proportions at least slightly make sense, and there's a lot more detail. And at the time, I was really proud of this one. And I tried to compile this folder, this selection of drawings based on how proud I was of them at the time because I remember all the ones that I was like proud of. So like this is an improvement, and I just remember painting this and showing this to all my friends like, wow, look how much I improved. Still looks kind of like shit, but it's one of the cuter ones. Alright, so this one was one of the few things that I did like that was not related to any fandom. And it's like first of all, the hands. I feel like everything else like I had a semi good grasp on, plus the sort of lighting is very forgiving when you're drawing in general. Like backlighting, have you ever tried doing backlighting? It's so forgiving when you paint, in my opinion. So I mean, when I did this, I knew that the left hand was fucked. But now that I look back at it, I realize that it's not the shading that is kind of bad, it's just the anatomy that's a little bit fucked. But the right hand, I mean, I was ahead of my time. Hands are so hard to draw and so hard to paint. I still struggle every single time. I struggle so much, but it's gotten slightly better, but like this, the right hand in this picture was way ahead of its time, for my skill level. So I was really like super proud of this. I was like, wow, this is like professional level. And it really looks good, even now. Uh, after like 8-9 years. I don't remember when exactly I painted this. Now this is another instance of me trying to shade an anime face like I would shade a real face. So let's not look at the face for the moment, but the rest of the painting. I feel like in my early digital painting days, this is what I put the most effort into in terms of detail. I used to really hate detail, and in some cases I still kind of do. Like it's sometimes tedious, but in this one I was like, I'm gonna make this so fucking good, and it still looks really good if we ignore like the face and like it basically going into the uncanny valley. It still looks good. The hair looks very interesting. And once again, this is a Vocaloid drawing. I really like how I rendered the leather. What's that other word? Silicone. Basically her shiny outfit, the shorts. And actually, when you look at it, like the hand and also her stomach area is actually rendered really good for that time. I went into so much detail. Like it does have its wonkiness, but when has my art not been wonky, to be quite honest? It's just always been like that, and like I've only partially been able to mend that. Sometimes there comes a point where you're just like completely run out of patience and you're like, fuck it, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. Now this one was after quite a break. I think I took a break from digital drawing in pretty much all of 2013. So in about I think it was late 2014 when I graduated high school. I was like, I want to be an artist, I want to do commissions, I want to draw again. So I started drawing, and at that point I was in my Monster High phase. I was so into Monster High, it was crazy. And that's all I used to draw at that time. Well, a little bit ever after high. But basically I was into dolls, that kind of shit. And this is one of the drawings that like back then I did, and I was like, oh my god, I improved so much. Because while I wasn't painting digitally for over a year, I did do a lot of traditional drawing, and I feel like my perception skills have improved. Like, how you perceive surfaces and colors. Because like that's a lot of that is just basically how you train as an artist. You just learn to see things, not just like see things, but perceive things. Perceive light and shadow in relation to each other, in relation to the other things that surround the object that you're trying to draw. Atmosphere, lighting, everything. It's just a continuous observation of real life and trying to perceive it and apply it to whatever you're drawing. So this was one of those cases where I put everything that I had in this drawing, and I was like, it looks so good. Of course, the background is, very abstract because we don't do backgrounds. I've done some backgrounds with varying levels of success, but yeah. So this was fall 2014, and I'm still I'm still proud of this. Zooming into the face, it does have its drawbacks, but I mean the overall drawing looks cute. Also, another work from 2014 that I forgot about. It was late 2014, and I feel like this was my best at that time, even though once again the anatomy is wonky. The shading on the face is not the best either, but I mean the hair and the flower, fucking phenomenal. I forgot how proud I was of this. And like, funny enough, faces, like faces are my favorite things to paint in general, and the face in this is the weakest part. Everything else, like the hair, the flower, looks amazing. This was for a competition of some sort. But yeah, I still love this. This is very pleasing to look at. Except the face, we're gonna ignore the face and pretend that it doesn't exist. Now, the previous drawing, I don't know if it went on YouTube or not, but I know that this next one did. I did a redraw of a drawing that I did in 2011 maybe, of my original characters, and I don't even know why I picked that drawing to redraw, to be honest, because I didn't really put all of my effort into that first drawing, so I don't know why I chose to redraw that, but I did, and actually this time I did put a lot of effort and thought into this. And this was in 2016. Well, at least my Facebook says that. It was early 2016. And you will see how that changes very rapidly in a minute. Like, these faces don't look bad, but also there's still a little bit of that uncanny valley going on, because I feel like my rendering skills have always been ahead of my anatomy skills. So like I can render a surface really well with in terms of light and dark, but where to put that light and dark was a struggle still at that point. But of course this is an improvement, and I didn't include anything from 2015 because I didn't really paint anything like cool per se in 2015. 2015 was a challenging year, and while I did do a lot of art, I didn't do a lot of like big paintings like that. So this was early 2016 because I wanted to do like a redraw improvement thing. And then I discovered a channel on YouTube called Istabrak. I don't know how I discovered it, but basically I watched her skin painting tutorial, and that completely and utterly and absolutely transformed the way I paint forever. Like forever. Completely like redefined and remade my process of painting. So this next one is an original character idea design based on these tutorials I watched. And of course, granted, I mean, look at it. It's not perfect. The anatomy is a little bit wonky. I don't remember if I had a sketch for that, but once again, like I said, my rendering skills have always been ahead of my anatomy skills. That just remains consistent throughout the years, because this bitch never liked painting from references, So yeah, this was around spring 2016, and I was so shocked when I watched that tutorial and then tried painting, and I was like, wow, this is incredible, thank you so much for my life. And I still use these techniques to this day. I have established a lot of other things, and there's so many things that changed. But the core technique that this channel taught me, that this person taught me through their tutorials, the core technique of painting faces and in general painting other things has remained, and I am forever grateful. This was another one of those, like, this was my I feel like this was the golden age when it comes to my 2016 drawings, because like after watching that tutorial, once again, like the anatomy itself and some of the shapes are a little bit off. Of course, this is Judy Hopps from Zootopia, if you're not aware yet, but I really liked that movie when I saw it, and I was really like, this one, I was gonna render this as realistically as possible, even though it's like an animated character. And I think I did really well for that time. I was super proud of it, and it took me a long ass time, and it's really time consuming to draw and paint. But I really like the lighting in here, the color palette. Of course, the anatomy is a bit wonky, but once again, it's just like me attempting to put everything that I have into a drawing, every little bit of skill and knowledge that I have. This was actually about the time when I started really feeling burnt out. The exception to that rule, of course, was Moana, which I drew many times. I think since the movie was announced back when we had no idea how she will look like, I made a fan art inspired by that. Just by that concept. I love Moana so much. And when the movie did come out, I did this huge, like one of the biggest drawings that I've done yet, with a full-on background, foreground, everything. This is like still, like I said, one of the biggest things that I've ever done. And I know that Moana doesn't have water powers, but like I like to pretend that she does in this picture. So but yeah, like the water, I love painting water so much. Another thing that I love painting besides faces is water so much. And I did like the in the Zodiac series, I did one of the drawings where the entire hair was just water. It was challenging, but it was so much fun. Every single detail in this drawing was fussed over for days, like days, and it still looks good in my opinion. The anatomy once again is not the greatest, let's be honest, but like with the rendering, I tried so hard and I got so far. I mean, the speed paint itself, it didn't really get that much traction compared to that one Moana speed paint that I did in like an hour, just to have something to post on YouTube, because I think at that point I was like I have to post art on YouTube consistently. I was still obsessed with like getting somewhere, like getting a career from YouTube, which is not a thing I want anymore. Like if I get noticed by someone, if something goes viral and I get a lot of traction, cool, but like I'm not chasing it anymore. Like I don't give a shit. But back then I was like obsessing with uploading and just making content. And it's always the thing that you do in 3 minutes that goes viral instead of the thing that you tried really hard on. So this is one of my proudest moments in my art journey. It was almost 4 years ago. I feel like looking at this, I'm like, wow, I haven't improved that much. I think like this is so well rendered, and I spent so long on it. And some of the things that I did afterwards are like, whatever. But art is a journey, and yeah, it's. I feel like it's not necessarily a linear process. So, not every drawing that you do is gonna be a masterpiece. Okay, so this next one is from 2017, and at that point, I was kind of getting a little bit burnt out with art, because I spent all of 2016 just trying to make art and upload art on YouTube, and just like every single week. I think I used to do like 2 art videos per week, which is when you try to draw something really, really like worthy of posting as a video, plus do other videos, it's really exhausting. And I've been doing art consistently since late 2014, consistently, and I was feeling just so burnt out at that point. This was one of my pastel drawings. I think I wanted to do a whole pastel rainbow series, and this is my favorite one from them. And I was really into this like pastel style at the time, because of course it was pretty, but now I kind of see that a lower contrast allows you to skip on some of the detail. You don't have to like detail it as much, and it still looks cool, because the stuff that you would have to put there if the contrast was higher, you really don't have to put there if you're literally painting in pastel colors. So like everything just gets like very muted. So I still really like this. Like I feel like this from 2017, it's like one of my best works, like one of the 2 best works that I did. I had at that point I had perfected that technique that I learned from Istabrak about painting faces, and at this point I can paint like a generic forward-facing face in pretty much under an hour, and it will look good even if it won't look detailed. That's how confident and comfortable I am with that technique. So once again, I'm really grateful for that. That one tutorial that I watched. I mean, I watched multiple, but that was like the changing point, the turning point in my art journey. So this was late 2017. After quite a big break, I decided to do some drawings about my year for 12 days of Christmas. So it was like for each month of the year, but I didn't go through with that either, because it's exhausting when it's December and you have to do all the things. And on top of that, draw 12 drawings. But this one is actually one of my favorites ever. It was inspired by Def Leppard and their aesthetic, and I don't stand them, but I do like some of their music, and I love their aesthetic. So I mean, who doesn't love blue and orange? Like that is such a cool combo, and I feel like this turned out really well with like the cat-like face, and then this kind of fantasy abstract background. Like this is the shit. And like the lighting on the face turned out really well, despite it being pretty much a speed paint. I didn't fuss over this that much, but I'm really proud still, and I have it on my wall. I don't know if you can see it. I have it on my wall here, right here. Yeah, I like it that much. So this was late 2017, but at that point I was like, I don't I don't feel like drawing anymore. I'm exhausted, and there was like shit things happening in my life at that point. So I was like, I abandoned the 12 Days of Christmas project. And at that point, I didn't really care much anymore. And then 2018 came. Enter scene Star Wars. And my everlasting obsession with it, apparently it's like the third year of me thinking exclusively only about Star Wars and nothing else. How y'all doing? So this is a speed paint that I posted on my channel when I started trying to pretend like I want to like get somewhere with my speed paints on my channel, even though it was definitely not. YouTube's not the platform for that, at least not these days anymore. I feel like YouTube and Instagram are the two worst places for artists. Like you have to have with art in general, like I feel like you have to have a fandom following to like get anywhere at this point, because like the platforms will not promote you just, like if you just post your art. There's just oversaturation. So it was still fun to post those videos, I guess. But this is a speed paint of Luke. Luke was my favorite character back in 2018. And we'll get to that, why it was only 2018 in a while, and actually really shortly, but this, I see some issues with it. There's not enough contrast. The hair kind of looks plasticky. It doesn't look as good as some of my other like fully rendered paintings from like the past. But once again, like I feel like I didn't really try to draw real people that much before this. I only tried to draw like fan art of animated characters, or just the things that I made up in my head, like the Cyan Siren and the Def Leppard inspired piece. I actually painted Lady Gaga a couple times. I feel like you actually could make a timeline of just my Lady Gaga drawings and see how much I improved, but that's for maybe another video, maybe someday. But yeah, I was really proud of this, and it's lovely. I have it on my wall right here. I keep forgetting that, but I do have it on my wall right here. So this was like mid 2018, and at that point I was drawing a lot more like simpler sketches. I developed a cartoonish style that is not very detailed, and that is like a lot quicker to draw than this stuff. And this was, aside from this and the Enfys Nest speed paint that I posted in 2018, when Solo came out. Solo was still one of the best Star Wars movies. Don't at me, I have great taste. So those are the only two full rendered paintings that I did in 2018. And then let's talk about my current obsession that is very apparent on my wall here and here. No, you can't see that. Some of the things that you can see, like the up there, the blue guy. I fell in love with the Star Wars character, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I drew him so many times it's embarrassing. But there is literally no other way to talk about my art improvement than to share all of my thirsty drawings of him on here. So here we go. Never thought I'd be doing this, but here we are. So this is a drawing that I did last year around, not this time, I think it was about August, but pretty much last year, a year ago. So I did this drawing, and one of the first times drawing fully from reference, like trying to reference the pose, the lighting, of course not the skin color, because blue people don't exist in real life, unfortunately. Also, if you think I started wearing blue lipstick because of this guy, no, I always loved blue lipstick. Check my channel, like 4 years ago I was talking about blue lipstick, but whatever. So this is still, even a year later, one of my favorite paintings that I've ever done. First of all, because it turned out so good. Second of all, because the composition is unmatched. The colors, unmatched. Look at this background. I originally planned to do like a more realistic background, but the flowers looked so good, and blue looks so good against the orange. I just couldn't. And it looks good from here already, right? But then you zoom into this guy and it still looks good. I still put in the detail and the work. One of the first times that I actually painted a full body and actually put the work necessary to make it look good, you know? Thirst does amazing things, to be quite honest. Then again, from last year, I don't know how comparable this is, but it's one of the portraits that I painted. This is of Princess Leia, and I painted this for my cousin because she asked for a Princess Leia painting for her birthday, and I chose a picture of Leia that I liked. And this was one of those times where I just genuinely tried to not look at the lines or like the face as a human face, but like a set of shapes and colors. Basically just trying to look at one little, like one tiny bit of the face, like let's say the eye, and look at what colors are there, like what kind of shapes they make, instead of like seeing like, ooh, this is the eye. Instead I tried seeing just like a bunch of shapes, which really helped because the photo was really blurry, but you know. So this was one of those few times where I actually tried to reference the photo as closely as possible, and I think I fucking nailed it. So let's move on. This is the point where I get really fucking conceited about my art because it looks so fucking good at this point. Like honestly, there's always room for improvement. I recognize that, and I will always strive to make my art cooler and better and more realistic. Not necessarily like in terms of style, but in terms of rendering, I'm gonna just continue to try to make it more and more realistic. But at this point, like, I mean, come on. So this is actually a commission that I did for a friend, which is amazing because like people actually liking your work enough to pay you to draw things for them is one of the most validating things in the world. One of the reasons probably why I'm like yeah, this is it. This is like, in a way, this is what I've been working towards for the past 10 years, and you know, I'm glad. I'm not saying that you need this level of skill to do commissions. You just need other circumstances, but like either way, whatever your skill level is, it's super validating to just like people want to buy your work, you know? So this is another one of those cases where I just like slaved over every single detail in the face, and it was actually just the face. If we scroll down to here, if we scroll down to this part, let's pretend we do not see this, okay? I told y'all that my favorite thing to paint has always been faces. I mean, the eyes, I'm not quite sure about, but I want y'all to look at these lips and the nose. I mean, look at this. And I did this without reference, really, just like from what I know in my head. So that's pretty fucking amazing if you ask me. I am looking at these lips and I'm like, wow, who did this? Oh my god, it was me. How cool is that? The first part of my video was just like roasting myself, and this is just like, yeah. So yeah, that's gorgeous. And then let's go into like arguably the thing that exposes me the most, but it's the most current. I mean, I posted this on TikTok, and like, you know, one of my cool classmates who has an actual art career saw it and liked that TikTok. So I'm just gonna share this here. You know, whatever. Cringe culture is dead. So this is the most recent painting that I did that I once again like slaved over every single detail. And I think you can tell how far I've come in terms of rendering things like cloth and other things. Like, I mean, look at this. This looks really damn cool. I'm especially proud of this part of the cloth specifically. Once again, I referenced one picture for the pose, but for other parts of the picture, I didn't look at any references. And like this sleeve, and like the armpit part with all the folds like this, mwah, amazing. Who did this? Me. I did it. I know that there are people who are younger than me and who did art, for less time and have developed better skills, but honestly, I don't care. It's my journey. I am allowed to be proud of myself. Another part that I really love, you know how I said that hands are difficult for pretty much any artist unless you really love drawing hands and that's like your favorite thing to draw, which is completely understandable. Every single artist has like that one specific thing that they adore drawing. So if you're not into drawing hands, then hands are difficult for you. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate how fucking well this hand is rendered. Like, fuck, bitch, I snapped! And I mean, the lollipop looks really cool too. But like, the hand, I mean, come on. It could be better. It could be better. I will improve on that. But like, also, yeah, I love being an artist. I love drawing so much. Oh my god, I just noticed a mistake. And I will never forgive myself for that. So yeah, it's time to delete this forever. I'm kidding, but you know that's what that's what happens. You know, if you're an artist, you know, you post a drawing, you share it, and you immediately see all the flaws in it. But yeah, this is my most recent big painting. So I pretty much don't draw original artwork at this point anymore because art has always been fun for me. You know, like I've always done it for fun, and it's always just like I don't remember having a drawing that would really like pain me, you know? At the very least, it's been like, you know, a really nice time, if not super fun. So I kind of reclaimed that over the past 2 years by just drawing for leisure, drawing only things that I want to draw, and it's the best thing ever. And in a way, it brought me more success than ever trying to push out content just for the sake of pushing out content ever did. So, yeah, I'm proud of myself. And if you're an artist, no matter how long you've been doing things, no matter what skill level you are, no matter how fast or slow you're improving, you should be proud of yourself too. I'm saying this because you should not, like, if you do art in any shape or form, you should not compare your journey to my journey. This is just to share my skill development, and it ultimately doesn't really matter how long it takes you, and it doesn't matter how long it took me. It's just interesting to see how my art changed. So yeah, if you watched all of this, thank you. Here's a cookie, a blueberry cookie. I hope you enjoyed this because I enjoyed making it, and it just made me nostalgic and it made me want to draw. So let's go draw. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.